problem was and how we were going to solve it. And it became quite apparent to them that I knew what I was talking about. But, I rapidly developed a reputation. I remember one very prominent pediatric neurosurgeon said, Carson will operate on anybody who will lay down. And that's not true, of course, because I would operate on people in the sitting position, too. But no, the fact of the matter is, I'm actually a very conservative surgeon, but I kind of look at things differently sometimes. And I say, what happens if I don't do this? If the answer to that is not a good answer, then I give very serious consideration. Doesn't mean that I do everything. If it doesn't make any sense, if I can't find any sense in it, I won't do it. But I always pray and ask God to give me wisdom. And He has never failed me yet. It makes all the difference in the world. And I'll tell you, it is a wonderful thing to be able to give people life, to be able to give people longevity. I remember several years ago, a little kid from Oklahoma, 6 months old, had an operation at the University of Oklahoma, posterior fossa. They said the kid had a malignant brainstem tumor. They closed it up, told the parents the kid had 6 months or less to live. They ended up at Hopkins. I remember it was an awful looking thing. But I decided to go in and operate. I ended up doing 2 or 3 operations on that kid. And the kid was able to go back to Oklahoma. 2 years ago, I was in Oklahoma giving a public lecture, very much like this one. And a family came up to me, and there was a young man with them, 20 years old. And they said, do you know who this is? And I said, tell me the name. And they told me, and I realized it was that kid. Now a junior in college doing very well with no sign of disease. And really, that's what it's all about. Using the talent that God has provided to do things for other people. That's what real success is all about. And, I'll tell you one last story which I think epitomizes success. In 1997, I was asked to come to South Africa to head up a team in an attempt to separate type 2 vertical craniophagus twins. Siamese twins joined at the top of the head facing in opposite directions. There have been 13 attempts to separate such twins previously, none of which were successful. And I was asked to lead that team. I knew it was going to be a great medical challenge. It was also going to be a great social challenge because it was going to be done at the Medical University of South Africa at Medinsa, the only major black teaching hospital in South Africa. Always the stepchild throughout apartheid and in the post-apartheid period. This was going to be their chance to stand shoulder to shoulder with Cape Town, Johannesburg, all the other great universities. I wasn't ready for all that social pressure. I said, Lord, you're going to have to show me something here. More capable people than me have tried and failed. And as I was studying their anatomy, I saw that the common drainage system that they shared was narrower centrally than peripherally, and the traditional neurosurgical literature said you should decide which twin to give the drainage system to, and to divide them over the course of several operations with months in between to allow collateral circulation to develop. But I felt impressed that if we concentrated on the central area where things were narrowing down, that they would quickly develop collaterals during the operation, and that we could do it all in one long operation. When I explained that to the team, they said, you're the boss, we'll do whatever you want to do. And I remember going to that operating room 2 days before New Year's of '98, big sign over the OR, God bless Joseph and Luca Benka. They were having song service and prayer service. I was thrilled. I said, can we bring in stereo systems so we can play inspirational music? 19 hours into the operation, we were only 3/4 of the way finished. The part that remained was so complex. The blood vessels were engorged, entangled, adhesed. It looked impossible. We stopped the operation. We went to a conference. I suggested maybe we could cover the area over with skin, come back in a few months, and they would have developed enough collateral circulation that we could now cut through that area. And the doctors from Zambia, which is where the twins were from in South Africa, said it's a great idea, and I know it would work at Johns Hopkins.
Huh.
But they said, we don't have the ability to keep partially separated twins alive. They'll die. Now, I really felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. I didn't have all my fancy equipment I have at Hopkins. I had my scalpel, my loops, and a prayer on my lips. I said, Lord, it's up to you. I started cutting between those vessels that were so thin you could see the anesthetic bubbles coursing through them, just daring you to make a nick. Make a long story short, when I made the final cut that separated those twins, over the stereo system came the Hallelujah chorus.
Oh,
and everybody had goosebumps. And we finished that operation after 28 hours.
wow.
One of the twins popped his eyes open, reached up for the endotracheal tube. The other one did the same thing. By the time we got to the ICU, within 2 days they were extubated. Within 3 days they were eating. Within 2 weeks they were crawling. And a few months ago they started the 7th grade.
Oh. Wow.
But you know what? That wasn't the success. The success you had to be there to witness was the reaction of the people. This was done in their hospital, in their country. Their level of self-esteem was through the roof. They were literally dancing in the streets. You know, that's what real success is, using the talent God has given you to elevate other people. And that's what I mean when I say think big. Each one of those letters means something special. The T is for talent, which God gave to every single person. Not just the ability to sing and dance and throw a ball, but intellectual talent. This is what we must begin to emphasize. It can't just be something that Alexis de Tocqueville find. It is here today. We have to give it rebirth if we are going to maintain our position in the world. And you know, some people think I'm anti-sports and entertainment. I'm not. I love sports and entertainment just as much as anybody else. And some of you might be surprised to know I actually made a cameo appearance in a movie called Stuck on You. Anybody see that movie? With Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear. They were Siamese twins, and I played myself as a surgeon who separated them. And my price for that was that they would have the world premiere in Baltimore, and the stars would come, and we could use it as a fundraiser for the Carson Scholars Fund. And we raised almost $500,000. So there are ways that Hollywood can get involved in doing educational things. And, you know, the same thing with sports. You know, in the state of Pennsylvania, our biggest fundraisers for the Carson Scholars Fund, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in Indiana, our biggest fundraisers, the Indianapolis Colts. Not so much a club. But those are the teams that support Carson Scholars the most. And those two teams have been in the Super Bowl 80% of the time the last 5 years. Must say something. Must say something. Okay. The H is for honesty. Lead a clean and honest life. You don't put skeletons in the closet. They will not come back to haunt you. And if you always tell the truth, you don't have to try to remember what you said 3 months ago. And it uncomplicates your life. The I is for insight, which comes from listening to other people. Learn from their triumphs. Learn from their mistakes. You don't have to repeat the same things, particularly young people. You can go a lot further, a lot faster if you learn from the mistakes of your parents and other responsible adults. The N is for nice. Be nice to people. Because once they get over their suspicion of why you're being nice, they'll be nice to you. And you can get so much more done when you're being nice and they're being nice. And can we all just take the niceness pledge? Just raise your hand right where you are. All hands up. If the person beside you doesn't have their hand up, you may kick them. Okay? Because now you have to be nice to everybody for a whole week. Okay? Now what does that mean? That means to your spouse too, okay? But it means no talking about people behind their back for a week. Some people will stroke out, I understand that. Okay? It means you see somebody struggling, you're gonna help them. Men, it means we're bringing chivalry back. You're holding the door for the ladies. You're holding their chair for them.